right, we're gonna go into the negative double. Okay. All right. The negative double is an extremely, extremely useful convention, as I was telling a couple of people earlier. It's also very flexible. It can be used in a lot of ways, which is why it's so popular. And somewhere in here it says take out that it's one of the most used conventions in all of bridge. Now, so far in the class, we've covered the penalty double and the takeout double. Got those down really good, right? Okay, well now we're doing the negative double. Joanne was just saying, she gets confused, not confused, but, well, confused or out of whack sometimes when her partner is opened and then there's been an overcall. And this happens a lot. And the more you play bridge, the more it happens. All right, and everybody's got to get their 2 cents in somewhere. I got to get a lead, I got to get in the way, whatever, okay? The negative double is the convention that's used in those situations. It's to help you communicate to your partner, even with the bozo over here getting in your way, okay? So it's designed for when your partner has opened the bidding and there's been an overcall. Easy enough, right? This helps you tell your partner what's in your hand and also sometimes a little bit about the strength of your hand, depending on how high you have to do it, okay? And if you look in your books at page 370, I'm gonna start there, okay? And you can see your partner opened a diamond and they've overcalled the spade. Now, if you look at the top of page 371, I'm just gonna jump ahead. If your partner opens a diamond and this guy doesn't bid at all, and you've got the hand at the top of page 371, what do you bid?
A heart.
A heart, right? Because that's what you do. Your partner has opened a minor, your first obligation is to give him your 4 or more card major, right? But it's harder when the opponents come in, because sometimes they get in your way and you're not sure quite what to do. So in this example, we're going to show you again, your partner's opened a diamond, and the opponents have overcalled a spade. If you double there, it's called a negative double. Honestly, I don't know why it's called negative. It's just negative double. Steve probably knows, he researches that stuff. But what it basically says is, I have the other 2 suits and some points because I want to compete. Okay? That's what it says. However, the emphasis is always on the major. So for instance, on this situation, when North opens a diamond and East overcalls a spade, if you, as the partner of North, double, that says, I have 4 hearts. I have 4 hearts for you in case we have a golden fit there. And I probably have 4 clubs as well. Does that make sense a little bit? Yes.
But it's really not required that you have 4 clubs, right? It says here
I
that
said it's probably 4 clubs.
You did. The book says support for the
I know,
youngest.
they're going to clarify it later on. That's why I'm telling you the real thing right now. Okay? Because the emphasis is always on the major. So you definitely have 4 cards, and you probably have 4 clubs. Okay? And we'll see some examples of how this is used as we go along. Okay? The emphasis, though, in the negative double is always on the mixture. Because we're bridge players, and the emphasis is always on the major, right? Mm-hmm. Always. So, again, that's what you promise. You promise exactly 4 hearts, or more. But you promise the 4 hearts, and you probably promise the 4 clubs. If you don't have the 4 clubs, you're going to have something else that you're going to be able to bid. And I'm going to show you some examples of that as we go along.
Question,
yeah.
Supposing that that overcall had been a heart.
Well, yeah, then the negative double says you've got 4 spades.
Okay, so you do that rather than just go to 1 spade.
Exactly, and I'm going to explain to you why, because the negative double allows you to fine-tune your bidding.
Okay.
So we'll get to that, but right now we're just doing a diamond and a spade. Okay? And again, the definition of a negative double is that you have support for the other suits, emphasis on the major, and you have to have points. I mean, if you don't have any points, you're not going to bid at all, right? Okay.
What is, like, some? 6 points?
Oh, well, I'm going to get to
I'm
that.
sorry.
At the 1 level, it's basically, if you think about, just, okay, if you're thinking about how you would respond to your partner in general. So if your partner opens the bidding and you have 6 points and you can bid at the 1 level, right?
Yes.
You could have bid, all right? Because with 6 points, we want to tell our partner that we have enough points for game if they've got that huge hand of 19 points, right? So if we have 6 points, we should respond to our partner when they've opened the bidding. When there's an overcall involved, it gets a little trickier, because sometimes you're forced to go higher than you want. For instance, 1 diamond, 1 spade, all right? Now, if we're asking our partner to bid another suit, we have to have a little more points, because they're gonna bid at the 2 level. If they bid at the 1 level, it would be insufficient, and the director would be called, right? So you need to have, well, it's true, I get a lot of those. Okay, so the idea is that you do need enough points, because a negative double is basically a forcing bid. Your partner's rarely, ever gonna pass it, okay? They have to have some really unusual hand to pass it. So essentially, it's a forcing bid. So you're making your partner bid. So if, in this case, on page 371, 1 diamond, they've overcalled the spade, you're gonna do a negative double. What does the negative double say?
I have 4 hearts
I have 4 hearts
and clubs.
and probably 4 clubs, right? Now, because I'm forcing my partner to bid at the 2 level, I should have a little more points. Because remember, they could only have your 13-point hand, right? They're not promising anything more than that. So in order to make our partner bid at the 2 level, we should have about 8 points. A little bit more than that 6. Although I have seen people stretch it, to be honest, but don't stretch it too much, okay? If the bid had been 1 diamond and then they overcalled 1 heart, well, now we're hoping with a negative double that our partner can bid spades, so they would stay at the 1 level, so we only promise the 6 points. Does that make sense?
In this hand at the top of 371, you don't have 4 spades.
Well, again, but the bid was different, because the bidding on that situation is, see, at the bottom of page 370, the bidding had gone 1 diamond, 1 spade. So our negative double shows hearts, the other major. So let me put it on here.
Right, but if you said the overcaller was hearts,
Right, well, that would be, if they overcalled a heart, you would have a different hand
Okay.
to do a negative double. Because you'd have the 4 spades, okay? All right? Do you have a question? No? All right, does that make sense? Because you're forcing your partner to bid, so as with everything, you have to protect yourself a little bit so that the bidding doesn't get too high for your points between you and your partner. All right, now at the bottom here, it says the level through which a negative double applies. Okay, and they say that it only goes through 2 spades. That is not necessarily correct, and they're gonna show you that in a little bit longer when they tell you it's not necessarily correct. This is a partnership agreement. So you remember when you have your convention card and we talked about it? Remember we talked about, well, some of you weren't there. On a Tuesday, I went over the convention card. On there is all your agreements between you and your partner. And what you have on there, there's a place that says negative double through. Okay? And that says how high. So, because sometimes, you know, you get these bozos that really do prenups. So let's say your partner opens a club and this person bids 3 hearts. Right? So you have to have the ability to do it, take out a negative double at that point, if you want to. So when they say through 2 spades, that means 1 club, 2 spades. That would still apply. And that if this person bids any higher, it wouldn't. But that's not necessarily the case. This is a partnership agreement. And they'll show you some examples later on where they say that a partnership agreement, some people will play it through higher amounts. So this is something to discuss with your partner. I will be honest, it doesn't come up a lot at those higher levels, but if the opponents do bid a preempt, because it's really when they've done a preempt, you have to determine with your partner, is this double here a negative double or a penalty double? Because it's kind of important that you know which one it means. All right? So those partnership agreements are something good to handle. All right? To go over with your partner. But again, if you want to use the basic, it's 2 spades. I don't know anybody that does it only through 2 spades, but that doesn't mean it can't be done. All right? And it says here, I think, somewhere along the line, they're gonna tell you that it goes higher up with some people. Here, it's right to the next page. It says here, because they're talking about the standard American yellow card, which is like the standard. If you've never played with anybody before and you sit down, it's like a convention card that's standard for everybody. But when you've got a partner, you make your own rules, because that's just the basic stuff, and you decide what you want to do after that. But it says here, some people play the negative doubles, higher levels with bidding 3 spades or even 4 diamonds. So if this person bids 3 spades or 4 diamonds, if your agreement is that's still the negative double, then it's still the negative double. Okay? Does that make sense? Because remember, these guys here with these preempts are trying to get in your way. So this negative double lets you navigate that. Because they will. You've seen them. They try to get in your way as much as they can.
Yeah, but if you're coming in at the 3 level with that double.
You need to have more points.
Right.
And it kind of gives you a little bit of, see, somewhere in here. It's basically at the 1 level, you need 6 points. At the 2 level, and when I say the level you're forcing your partner to bid at. Okay? Assuming they're gonna bid the major. Because that's what we want them to do. 3 level, you need at least 10. And at the 4 level, you need opening. And these are guidelines. Okay? Because you're forcing your partner to bid that high. And remember, when they opened, they could only have 13 points. They might have more. They might have a rule of 20-12, which is still an opening, by the way. But you're forcing them to bid that high, so you have to have enough points between the 2 of you, assuming that they've got that minimum hand to be bidding safely. Does that make sense? Okay. And so it tells you, here are some of the examples when not to use the negative double. Okay? And it says after a 1 no trump, after your partner bids 1 no trump, and they've done an overcall of a 1 no trump bid, it says to not use the negative double, that it would be, well, it can't be a negative double if you've opened a 1 no trump, but there would be some stolen bid things that we've talked about there. So I don't want you to listen to that part, okay? But if an opponent makes a conventional call, it says, such as Michael's, all right, a negative double is not necessarily a negative double. Did that come out right? I don't think that came out right.
What's a Michael's cubit? It's just a regular cubit.
No, Michael's cubit is a convention. Okay. It's a convention. So let's just not go over it. Let's just focus on what we're doing, because I don't want to get into that. Okay? What the negative double promises. Let's just skip to that part, okay? All right. What the negative double promises is the other 2 suits with the emphasis on the major, and a certain amount of points to force your partner to bid at the level that they have to bid at. That's what the negative double promises, all right? And that's the important crux of it, all right? So take a look here, and this is the good stuff. So I really want you to understand the flexibility of it. I'm sorry to get confused on that upper part. I don't want to go into that now, yeah.
In whatever it says, what the negative double promises,
Mm-hmm.
it says a negative double of a 1 level overcall promises at least 6 total points.
Yeah, at the 1 level.
Isn't it what it forces your partner to bid at?
Yes,
not
it
you?
is. Yes, it is. What does it say there?
Because if it goes 1 diamond, 1 spade, you need 8 points then, right?
Right.
It's not a 1 overcall. It's the
Yeah.
amount you force your partner
No,
to bid at.
that's right. Where does it say that?
Second sentence or third sentence under that paragraph, what the negative double promises.
A negative double of a 1 level overcall promises at least 6 points as long as you're going to be able to bid. Yes, that's a good point. There's a couple of things in here that I've got that you've got to cross out because there's some typos, but that is correct. Well, see, that's because you're listening to me. Good job. But yes, if you're forcing your partner to bid at the 1 level, you only need 6 points. But if you're forcing your partner to bid to the 2 level, you need 8. Okay? And again, it goes up.
That's what that says.
Huh?
That's what that says.
Yes, yes, that's what that says. Yes.
So that's
when you're thinking about that, you're thinking that your partner needs these points, not you necessarily.
No,
No?
these are the points that we need as the responder
Yes.
to do the negative double.
Yes. But if you're thinking that your partner now has to go to the 2 level, you should have 8 points.
You should.
Okay.
So again, if the bidding goes, 1 club, 1 heart,
Yes,
for you to do the negative double,
you need 6.
no, that's fine. You only need 6, because you're hoping that your partner's gonna bid 1 spade,
Yes.
okay? Because again, the emphasis is always on the major. If he bids 2 diamonds, you can't do anything about that. You still you only need the 6 points, because again, you're hoping he's gonna bid 1 spade. Yeah.
But if it went like that, why would you do the negative double? Why wouldn't you just say 1 spade?
That's a good question, and I actually have an answer for it, okay? Because once, huh?
No, nothing.
Okay, because once you start using the negative double, if you bid 1 spade, it promises 5 pieces. See, isn't that smart? So now, if the bidding goes 1 heart, before you did this, right, and they bid 1 spade, you didn't know if they had 4 or more. But now, you're using the negative double. So now, not only do you have the double, but you have the ability to show the 5 spades. 1 spade. My partner, this guy over here, has at least 6 points and at least 5 spades. Because if he only had 4, he would do the negative double. Cool, huh? Yeah.
Okay, if there was no overcall of 1 heart, a 1 spade bid means 4 spades.
Or more. But it only promises 4.
But because the overcall got in the way, you have to have a little extra strength.
No, it's that because of the overcall, it gives this guy here, the responder, the ability to show 4 or 5 or more.
Oh, I see.
Whereas without the overcall, he can't do that. He can only show 4 plus. So because of the overcall, you get to show a little more information to your partner, which means if you bid 1 spade, they can come back and bid 2 spades with only 3 pieces. Right? Because some of us will bid 2 spades not knowing if this is 4 or 5, and we just hope that our partner's got 5, right? And then we're disappointed when they only show up with 4. But that's all they promise. But here, because of this overcall, because it's overcalling the major, we're going to get to it when it's a minor in a second, because that changes things. Of course. All right? But you have the ability to show 4 or 5 or more spades, which is a really good thing to have. Right? Okay. Let me just make sure. I'm trying to stick with the book, because otherwise, you know me, I'll go off. Okay, yes, we're right there. So now, at the bottom of page 372, it's when they've overcalled a minor. So this time the bidding goes, I gotta get this white board clean, I'm sorry. So this time it goes 1 diamond, okay? Now, because the emphasis is on the majors, a double here says I have 4 of both majors. Definitely, okay? I have 4 of both. If I don't have 4 of both, I can bid 1 heart or 1 spade with only 4 pieces. Okay?
Could you say that one more time?
Because, okay, 1 club, if they've overcalled the minor, a double here, because the emphasis again is on the major, I promise 4 pieces in both of the majors. So I have 4 hearts and 4 spades. Okay? All right? But if I bid 1, because I don't have, because how often do you have 4 of both, right? If I bid 1 heart or 1 spade, it's back to only, it's not like, it's different than where 1 spade equals 5, right? Because it's a minor and the emphasis is on the majors, if I can't double to show both of them, then if I bid 1 heart or 1 spade, it only promises 4 pieces. I might have more, but it only promises 4. So when it's an overcall of a diamond, you don't get the information you do as if when they overcall a heart. Does that make sense? It's a little confusing. That's something very important to remember. That if they bid one heart or one spade here, that they only promise 4.
What if you have 5 hearts and 4 spades?
Well,
It still build a double?
it depends on how many points you are. You could certainly do a double, but if you've got like 8 or 9 points, I would bid the spade first, and then I would come back and bid my hearts, and my partner would know I'm 5-4. Because remember, when you bid 2 suits, you always have more in your first. Okay? So that's the way I would do it. Because again, if I bid anything here, and I'm not a passed hand, my partner has to bid again, as long as this guy's quiet, because this would be a forcing bid, anything I say. Okay? Yeah.
In these negative doubles, what if the opener is actually the 4th hand? He's got 3 passed hands to him. Does that change anything?
Well, you mean it's pass, bid?
Yeah, and then,
The same rules would apply.
Same rules.
The same rules would apply, okay? Because, I mean, you have to assume, like your partner might open, with a rule of 15 or something in 4th seat, but you have to assume they've got an opening hand and bid accordingly,
okay.
okay? So it gives you some examples here on page 373. So remember, the bidding now went 1 club, 1 diamond to you, okay? And if you see this nice hand on page 373, you would do a negative double. I have both hearts and spades. Do we have a golden fit here, guys? Right? On the next one, we only have 4 hearts. We do not have the spades, so we would bid 1 heart. Now, also, I want to bring back about the double here and the points. These are minimum points. That doesn't mean you can't, like if your partner opens and they bid, you can do a negative double. If I got 17 points, I can still do a negative double because it's a forcing bid and it's helping to describe my hand to my partner. So he knows my minimum points, he does not know my maximum, which is why it's a forcing bid. Okay. Where are we? Okay. Now again, here, and this is where I was just talking about a little bit before, in the middle of page 373, this time the bidding was 1 diamond, 1 heart. Okay? So 1 diamond, 1 heart. So this one, because they've overcalled the heart, we have the ability to show 4 or 5 or more spades, because we are now using the negative double. And by the way, you're in the class, you're now using the negative double. Just keep that in mind. It's a really, really, really useful tool. Okay, once you've learned it and start using it and become familiar with it, you will, how did I ever play without this? Because it's one of those bids. So in this example here, West opens a diamond, North overcalls a heart, and then it's to you. With this hand, you would do a negative double. I have 4 spades. I happen to have 4 clubs too. It's perfect. Okay? And the next hand, I can bid 1 spade because I've got 5. So because we're playing a negative double, our partner knows that we have at least 5 spades, which is really very convenient. Okay? So when they support you, you don't know if they have 3 or 4 or more, well, 3 or 4 spades, but you know that you have a golden fit. All right? Yes?
I'm just asking, if you happen to have more than 10 or more points than 5 spades, is it better to bid 2 spades, or is it better to do the negative double?
Never.
Never what?
If you've got 5 spades, you would not jump to 2 spades. You would just bid 1. 1 diamond, 1 heart, 1 spade.
I'm sorry, what if I had 5 hearts and I'm forced to either bid 2 hearts or do the negative double? I could bid 2 hearts at the...
Well, I'm going to come to that. It's depending on your points. So let me just get there, okay? And we'll take a look. Look at the bottom one on page 373, okay? Here, we've got 1 diamond and they've overcalled 2 clubs. How many people want to bid 2 spades with that? Do you have enough points to bid 2 spades?
No.
No.
Pity.
Well, I know this. I am.
You have
All right.
8 points.
All right.
You have 8 points.
You only have 8 points. You don't have enough to bid 2 spades, but look at how beautiful the negative double comes in. All right? Because we have hearts and spades. If we have a golden fit, neither one of them, we're good. Right? But we do not have enough points to bid our 2 spades. So the negative double comes in. Yeah.
Okay, on your list there, the two level says 8 points. Do
Mhm.
you have 8 points?
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and a late point, I certainly do.
So you do qualify for at the 2.
Mhm.
Okay.
And again, if you're gonna be dummy, at some point, you're gonna get shortage points back in there too, but not yet, okay? Because we don't know where we're gonna end up. But you said, and if you read there, it says, this hand has only 7 high card points, but they get an extra point for the 5th spade. All right, because remember, it's your suit, okay?
Question,
All right. Huh?
is any of this stuff alertable?
No, this is all standard American.
Okay.
This is all standard American. This is not anything fancy. This is not an alertable bid. It's standard American. So, but you would want to put it on your convention card that you play it. Because most people do, but you never know. Okay? All right? And you can see how useful that bid is, because you want to be able to show your suits. Remember, bridge is always based on trying to find that golden fit in a major. So this gives you the ability to tell your partner, I have some points. Man, I got these great suits. You know, if neither one of them picks it. If he ends up rebidding his diamonds, you know, that he's got 6 diamonds, and you can just help him with that. Okay? All right.
Also, the stronger hand is not dummy.
Well, you can't always do anything about that. I mean, conventions are good, like when they've opened a no trump, the conventions are designed for them to be, but you know, sometimes you're the declarer, you know, can't do anything about it. Okay, if you take a look now here, okay, now here's an example of the flexibility of what I'm talking about. Now remember what the bidding was. It was 1 diamond, and then they went to 2 clubs. Steve said my board yesterday was a little confusing, so I'm trying to work on that. Trying to only put 1 hand at a time. I said, well, it made sense to me. He's like, yeah, but to nobody else. Anyway, that's the bidding. Well, I'm gonna revisit that next week, don't worry about it. Okay, where was I? Okay, so if you see here, page 374 at the top. So this is the bidding, 1 diamond, 2 clubs. All right, now, this is not a perfect negative double. You do not have 4 hearts. But you can't bid no trump. That would be bad, right? And your partner has opened the bidding, and you've got 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 points. So your partner's opened the bidding, they've got 13, you have 10, we have the balance of the points. So really, we should have the contract, correct? Do we all agree? Mm-hmm. So we have to come up with a bid, because we have to tell our partner we've got something. So here, even though it's not perfect, we could do a negative double. If our partner bids hearts, we have to play in a 7-card fit. Not the worst thing in the world that's happened. Not, of course, you hope they bid spades, but again, it's better than just passing. Because if you pass, they might play it in 2 clubs, and you guys have most of the points. So you can see it's a way of at least fighting, for competing. You know what I mean? Because you need to tell your partner that you've got points. So you don't want to just sit down and say, well, I don't really have a good bid, but I know we have all these points, but I don't have anything to say. Okay? Okay? You have to make the best bid you can come up with. But again, if your partner's opened the bidding and you got 10 or more points, you've got the balance of the points. You want to compete somehow, right? Does that make sense? It also works for the minors. Now again, we like majors better, but sometimes we don't have majors, right? So if you look at the example in the middle of page 374, this time your partner opened a heart and they've overcalled a spade. All right? A negative double shows both minors and some points. Look, you've got 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 points, and your partner has opened the bidding. You have both of the other suits. So a negative double says partner, and when you do a negative double, it also denies support for your partner's major. Remember, if you had 3 hearts, you're not doing the negative double looking for a minor, you're going to support your partner. All right? Either by bidding or Q bidding. But so when your partner has opened a heart and they've overcalled a spade and you do a negative double, one thing he knows, you don't have 3 hearts. So that's good. Yes?
Does it matter where your points are suit-wise?
No. It's about length.
Okay.
We're looking for that golden fit. 8 is 8, even if they're not as pretty. Okay? All right? If you take a look at the next one, it just gives you another example. 1 diamond, they've overcalled the spade. You have only 4 hearts, but again, I mean, when I say only 4 hearts, you have 4 hearts, you do not have the 4 clubs, but the emphasis is always on the major. So you would do a negative double first before supporting your partner's diamonds. If they came back and bid 2 clubs, for instance, assuming you to have clubs, then you would convert and you'd go back to 2 diamonds. Okay? All right? Again, the emphasis on the major. So even though they said, you know, you promised 4 clubs, you can see right here, you don't. Okay? The emphasis on the major with the negative double. Does that make sense? Is everybody starting to see a little bit how useful this bid can be? It really is a great bid. It really is. Take a look at the next one. Here, this was back to what we were talking about earlier, though. At the bottom of page 374, they've opened one, your partner has opened 1 spade, and there's been an overcall of 2 diamonds. Okay? What do you bid? 2 hearts, because we've got 5 of them, right? Remember, to bid hearts at the 2 level, you need 5 pieces.
And 10 points.
And 10 points, yes. So your partner knows, well, of course they would know anyway that you've got 5 hearts, but they also know you have 5 hearts and 10 or more points. 5 plus hearts and 10 plus points. All right? Take a look at the next one. This is the situation that comes in a lot. Take a look at the top of page 375. Again, the bidding has been your partner opened a spade and they've overcalled 2 diamonds. So, 1 spade, 2 diamonds to you. Okay? All right. Well, how many people want to bid their hearts there to show the 5 pieces? Do you have enough points to do it?
No.
No. All right. Remember, to bid your own suit at the 2 level, you need 10 high card points. All right. And they actually say somewhere 11 because it's 10 high card points plus a light points. But it's 10 high card points. Okay. We do not have that, but we still have the ability to show hearts, the other major, to our partner. So we start with a negative double. Okay? We would start with a negative double. If they come back and bid, what did they bid? They bid 1 spade and they come back and bid 2 diamonds. We can now bid 2 hearts, saying we have 5 hearts, but we didn't have enough points to bid them. Does that make sense? Okay? It's really important. Bidding, which we go over in the bidding class, you know, but bidding is so important to convey what you've got with your partner, but to also limit what you have to your partner. All right? If you bid 2 hearts directly, if the bidding here was 2 hearts, is that a forcing bid? By an unpassed hand. It's a forcing bid. Okay? He's got 10. He could have more. Okay? All right? If he was a passed hand, that's a different story, but we're assuming he's not. So he has not limited his hand. So this is a forcing bid. So your partner's going to keep bidding, which is why you can't bid 2 hearts without that 10 points. Okay? So what we would do is we'd start with a negative double, and if our partner bids hearts, we are so happy, right? Because now we know we've got a 9-card fit. All right? But if he doesn't, if he bids another suit, you can now bid your 2 hearts, showing the 5 pieces, but limiting your hand to less than 10 points. Does that make sense? If you think about it, because I know, because I've seen all too often, your partner's opened and they've overcalled, you know, one spade, 2 diamonds. I've got to show them my 5 hearts. I've got to show them my 5 hearts. The fact that I have no points, yeah, but I still got to show them my 5 hearts. And then you wonder why you get too high, right? All right? So this is the ability to start out with a negative double. And when you bid your hearts later, your partner knows you did not have that 10 points. So it's limiting your hand. Does that make sense? Okay. On the next one, okay, now again, this time, the bidding went, remember, 1 spade, 2 diamonds to us. Okay? Take a look at the next hand. Okay, what do we bid on with the second hand on page 375? Our partner has opened a spade, and they've overcalled 2 diamonds.
And you cube it because of your points?
Right, we don't care about the negative double, we have a spade fit, right? So there's no reason looking for our hearts, we got a 9 card or more spade fit, we are good, right?
And let your partner know.
So your partner has to know that we have a spade fit. He also has to know that you've got points. So we would bid 3 diamonds. The cubit, does everybody remember the cubit?
No.
No? Okay. Well, if it were to go like this, 1 spade, 2 diamonds, 2 spades would show 6 to 9 points. Okay? If you're stronger than that, which is 10 or more, and there's a competitive auction, you want a cubit, saying, I like your suit, we have a golden fit, but I also have 10 or more points. This is a forcing bid, don't ever leave your partner in a cubit, he will be very unhappy. Okay? All right? What this says is, this equals spades. Because my partner did spades. It says nothing whatsoever about diamonds. It says spades and points. Okay?
And the points is how many, Debbie?
10 or more. And they can be dummy points, remember, points are points. Okay? So if you got a void, count it.
But in this case, they're opening points, so why wouldn't you go to 4 spades?
Because you'll find that that's a weaker bid. In a competitive auction, 1 spade, 2 diamonds, 4 spades, you could do with a lot less points. Okay? Even a 3 spade bid here, which I'm not gonna go into right now, would be considered weak. A strong bid is the cubit. Okay? Because sometimes, especially, this is a 2 diamond bid, but sometimes they'll do a preempt just to get in your way, you know? And you've got this strong hand, you don't want to jump to 4 spades and miss slam. Okay? So this is a competitive auction, is a way of showing fit and strength. Okay? Whereas if you just had 6 to 9 points, you just bid your old 2 spade bid. Yeah.
Well, I get confused on this cubit thing, it really is the most difficult thing for me to understand. Why, if you have 10 or more points and 4 spades, why don't you bid 3 spades? Isn't that 10 to 12?
Well, again, in a competitive auction, it changes. Okay? In a competitive auction, the bidding changes. And part of the village is because you have the cubit. So that leaves that 3 spade bid to be more of a preemptive bid. Let's say I have a lot of spades, but I really don't have very many points. It's all spades. If I bid 3 spades here, that's called weak and long. So it's kind of a preempt, saying, I got a lot of spades with you, but I don't have a lot of points. Okay? So if you see, so 2 spades is 6 to 9. 3 spades should be, I'm not sure if I'm doing that in the right direction, less than 6, right? Weak and long, but a lot of spades, at least 4.
Is that what some people call the weak freak?
No,
There's that term I've heard used.
no, this is a competitive auction, that's a whole different ball of wax. And then you've got the 3 diamonds, which is 10 plus, and then 4 spades would be something like around 6 points, but you've got 5 spades or more and a singleton or a void. So it's showing, that's what that 4 spade bid is. Once you get a little more.
So you're doing that to keep the bidding open if it's possible to go higher than that?
That's right, right. Because again, depending on, now, in this situation, you're probably not gonna go more than 4, but you never know. He could have a very distributional, strong hand. And maybe 6 is there. You've all heard the story of me opening my 17-point no trump, and they got to slam. Still tipped, and I will still be tipped. That was like 10 years ago. Anyway, so there are things that happen, okay? And that's why, though, you want to show, in a competitive auction, you want to show strength and a fit, or weakness and a fit, or you shut up and you don't have anything, okay? Yeah. Oh.
So, one way to think about it, right? When you think about bidding and grids, right? The more bids that you have available to you, the more accurately you can describe your hand, correct? If you only have a couple bids, 2 bids that are available to you, you kind of limits how you can describe your hand to your partner. If you have 5 bids that are available to you, that gives you a lot more finesse in being able to describe your hand. Now, when there's no interference, it's just 1 spade pass, right? We know, and you have a spade fit. You know, 2 spades is 6 to 9, 3 spades is 10 or 11 with a 4-card fit, and, you know, 4 spades
Is a weaker bid,
Is
because
a
we would
weaker
use our
bid.
2 club, 2 diamond temporizing bid.
right. And if you've got more than that, you do a forcing bid, temporizing bid, right? So you've got like 4 bids there. What do you do in that situation? Think about it. If there's no overcall, and you've got that, I've got a weak hand, I've got less than 6 points, I can't bid 2 spades, but we've got a really good spade fit. What do you do? If you don't have an intermediate, if you don't have, the opponents don't bid, your partner opens a spade, pass, you've got a nice spade fit, but you've got less than 6 points. What do you do, right? Right? There's no bid there in that sequence to describe it. So now, when there's an overcall, we can take advantage of that, and that's why the bidding changes. That overcall, that 2 diamond overcall or 2 club overcall, when the opponent's bid a suit, we can now take advantage of that, and it changes our bids to now give us more bids. Now we can use that 3 spade and 4 spade bid to show those weak hands but long support, where we couldn't do it before. But now that we're giving up the 3 spade and the 4 spade bid for something else, we need something to fit that. I've got 10 or more points, I know we're gonna go to game, so that's why we use the Q bid. So just think about it in that terms, right? The fact that the opponents got involved, we can now take advantage of that, and we now have more bids to describe our hand to the
That's
partner.
very true, that's very true.
Does the Q bid require 10 points, or is it 10 points because we're going to the 3 level?
The definition of a Q bid is what they call a limit raise or better.
Okay.
So, when you're Q bidding, you know, in a competitive auction, a limit raise is 10 to 11 points or more.
Okay.
Okay, so you start with that, because we don't know, remember, just because we have, like, say 10 or 11 points, doesn't mean we're going to game, because if he's only got a 13-point hand, we don't belong in game. So this way, we've shown him support and points, and if he says 3 spades, because he wants to stop in 3 spades, that means he's got a very minimum hand, and we can stop in 3 spades. Yeah,
Points, you count your dummy points.
yes,
Thank you.
yes, yeah.
You don't have any points there for 4 spades, and a lot of times I've noticed that we tend to do that when we have maybe a opening hand, opposite or opening hand. Is there, in this new paradigm, is there any time when you would say 4 spades?
Yeah, if I have a singleton or a void, and I've got 5 spades, and a weakish hand, 6 to 9 points maybe, I would just go to 4. And the idea behind it is because, and again, you have to have 5 spades, is you've got a 10-card fit, which means the opponents don't have a lot, but our 10 cards and a singleton and a void is gonna be worth a lot more in spades than it is defending them, you know?
Yeah.
So the idea is at that point, it's like, and remember when we learned bidding originally, it was, what is it called when you go slow because you have more points?
Going slow because you have more.
It's the law of slow arrival. Thank you very much. The rule of slow arrival. Okay? The more points you have, the slower you want to bid, because getting to game is fine. Getting to slam is so much better. Okay? So the more points you have, you can go slow. But as soon as the guys on the other side of the table get in the way, it takes up some of your bidding room. So you can't go as slow because they're getting in your way on purpose. So this, by doing a Q bid, says, I have points, we have a fit. What say you? And that gets that across in a competitive auction.
And did you write what the 4 spades means in that sequence?
No, it's long, like 5 plus spades and weakish. You define weak-ish to yourself, but you know what I mean? Sometimes it'll make more sense to go straight to 4. If you're vulnerable and they're not, you might not want to, because you might go down and then it would be, you know, too costly. So it really depends on what you feel for. Remember, bridge is about logic and making decisions, and we don't always make the right ones, but we try. Okay, but that's what the definition is. 3 spades would be less than 6 points in 4 pieces. Plus. So you could do a 3, but generally when you've got 10 trump, that jump to 4 kind of, and that's what it says, it's weak and long. Okay.
Is that by any chance the law of total tricks business that comes into that?
It's probably part of that in there, that when you've got 10 pieces, you should be safe bidding at the 4 level. But again, 10 pieces doesn't work if you don't have that singleton or void. So you need to have 10 pieces and not a doubleton, really. I've tried it with doubletons, don't do it, it doesn't work. You need a singleton or a void to do that. If you don't have that, then do your 3 spades. Okay, all right, back to negative doubles. Okay, so here on page 375, the next one, again, we have enough points, so we would bid our negative double. So again, the bidding had gone 1 spade, 2 diamonds. So we're back to this bidding here. Let me take this out of your way so nobody gets confused.
Is this the one with the 9-5 and the spades? Is that what we're looking at here?
I think so.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So we would do a negative double there. We have 4 hearts, and we have the 4 clubs too. So we're looking, and what we've told our partner is, we do not have spades with you. But we've also told him we have points, because we're forcing him to bid up. Okay? We have at least 8 or 9 points, something like that. Okay? Now on the next one, I'm gonna tell you I disagree with it wholeheartedly. Because it tells you to bid your clubs. If I hear a club bid there, I am going to assume that there is no heart fit and be very disappointed if I have hearts. I would still do a negative double there because I would like to find my heart fit if it's there. I can talk about my clubs later. All right? But again, if you decide to bid your clubs, the reason they say that you can do it is because you can show your hearts later because you've got a strong enough hand. All right? But who wants to be in clubs when you can be in hearts? Right? So I would start with a negative double there. Okay? Nobody's going to shoot you if you bid the 3 clubs directly, but I would start with a negative double because I don't like being clubs. I would want to be hearts. Okay? All right? Now does that make sense? Okay. All right, if you look at page 375 on the bottom there, so the slight problem with the negative double is that you can no longer double for penalty. So let's take a look at the bottom. All right, the partner opens a diamond, and this guy on your right overcalls 1 heart. Well, I don't think he's going to do very well in that, do you? No. But the thing is, a double there is not for penalty. It can't be because we play the negative doubles. So if we double, because we want to penalize this guy, our partner's not going to know that because my double says I've got 4 spades and probably 4 clubs. So in this case, even though I would really want to smack him with a double for penalty, I can't. I've given that up because I've played the negative double. Now I'm going to tell you, it is a worthwhile give up. All right? You are going to get way more use out of that negative double than the 1 chance in every 500, 600 hands that this thing comes up, right? So again, don't feel bad about it, but you can't do it. So what you would do with that hand is, you have 2 choices. You could certainly pass, which is what you should do, because you hope that your partner's going to come in and say, because let's face it, how many hearts does your partner have? 0. Right? Not many. Does he 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6? Well, he could have 2. But we know he doesn't have many, right? So if he's opened the bidding with whatever, right? What did he have?
1 diamond.
He bid a diamond, okay? A diamond. And this guy bid a heart, and you passed, and this guy passes, because what's he gonna say, right? This guy might actually do what's called a reopening or a takeout double, saying, partner, I don't wanna let him play it in 1 heart. You know, I mean, you gotta have something over there, right? And if this guy doubles, then you will smile as you pass.
Because then it's for penalty.
Because, well, he's asking you to bid a suit because he can support any suit but hearts. And what you've done is saying, I know, pass. And then this guy's in 1 heart doubled, which is really where you want it to be, okay? Now, I know that a lot of times, the people you're playing with now, as newer players, we don't do this. If our partner passes, we'll just say, all right? As you get a little more experienced and a little more competitive, you're gonna say, I don't wanna let him play it. You gotta have something over there, right? And that's when you smile quietly and pass, okay? All right? Does that make sense a little bit? Okay. Where am I? Okay, so that was there, okay? Let's see here. Oh, and they're talking a lot about here in the next couple pages in 376 and 377. You can go over about, they're talking a little bit about reopening. And when I say reopening, it means that it's been like this, you know, pass, right? And if you pass, that's it, we're done. So sometimes well, not sometimes, it is called reopening, saying, I just don't want to let them play it in one heart. We gotta be able to compete somewhere, because I can support whatever suit you want, partner, okay? And they will do what's called a reopening double, which just means, partner, you know, do something, bid something. And if you're sitting there with all those hearts, you would pass. If not, you would bid something else, okay?
I don't understand how you can tell if that's a reopening or a penalty double.
How many points would this guy have to have for that to be a penalty double? At the one level. And he opened at the one level. If he had that many points, he would have opened two no trump, two clubs, something like that. It's always gonna be a reopening double. That's what it is. Because, I mean, how many hearts could he have? Right? You can only have 4, because otherwise he would have bid hearts, more likely than not. And especially if you've got a lot of hearts, you know that.
So in this case where you did one diamond, one heart, pass, double, if the person who initially overcalled one heart leaves it there,
Is he?
say he passes also, then that he can convert it to a penalty double by
Passing.
by passing.
Right. If he passes, then if this is a double here, right? If he passes, then the bid is now one heart doubled,
Right.
okay?
You're fine.
All right. More often than not, though, you just didn't have enough points to really bid, and you'll just bid like one spade or something, and you'll play one spade, or force them up to 2 hearts.
But in this example here, then you're perfectly happy.
Oh, yes. They were like, because it just happened yesterday, Steve, this person overcalled. Steve had like 7 of them behind him, because he overcalled a 4-card suit, which don't do. But anyway, and he's like, oh, I wish my partner, who was void, had doubled. But she didn't. She had a distributional hand of her own, so she bid her suit, which is to be expected. But he was like, oh man, he was like ready. He was so ready, you know, to just pass. Okay. But anyway, they're talking a little bit about the reopening or balancing doubles. And what it says is balancing is they're not going any higher. We have to have enough to be able to compete somehow, because you just don't want to let somebody play in one heart, if you can help it. Now, sometimes, that's where the best thing you can do is leave them in one heart. But generally speaking, people will say, let's go. But I want you to read a little bit about that on your own, yeah.
You know, honestly, I'm just telling you, on the top of 377, I found this unintelligible. I couldn't understand anything. Especially the bit about if 18 or 19 points, bid of no trump, and in this case it means you have 18 or 19 points.
Well, it does, because if you've got a hand that's 18 or 19 points where you can't open a no trump because you got too many points, you open at the 1 level. Again, this person has overcalled, your partner has passed, and this person has passed. There should be some points somewhere, and if instead of doubling, saying, partner, I would like you to bid, because maybe you don't really have great support, but you have some stopper in the hearts, it might be better to reopen with a no trump. Again, that's just, they're giving you different options, and to be honest with you, I wish they weren't giving you so many options in this place, because I really want to focus on the negative double, but they wanted to talk about reopening and just not, and when I say balancing, and you might have seen it, because I'll probably do it to some of you on a Tuesday sometimes, where you're just too low and I'll just throw in a bid there just to force you up a little bit. You're in 2 hearts, you're nice and happy. I got 5 spades, I'm in the last seat, I'm gonna bid 2 spades. How happy are you now? Right? Because now you either have to let me play it in 2 spades or go to 3 hearts, and if you can't make 3 hearts, you're down. Okay, that's called balancing. Okay, and that's what you'll do as you get a little more experience. I don't recommend doing it too much at the higher levels right now, but as you get further along and you get a little more proficient in your playing, I highly recommend it. It's very successful, especially when you're gonna be in a partial contract, because what it means is pretty much the points are balanced. You know, if somebody's in a 2-heart contract, you can, and you've got a fit in spades, you can probably make 2 spades. Who wins? The spade person, because they got the higher suit, right? So that's called balance, and that's what it's talking about. But again, I really don't want to go into it any more than that. Right now, we can have a discussion on a Tuesday morning bridge shot at some point on that, okay? Well, that's a good idea. Okay, so now we're going to talk a little bit, because I really want to get to my things, and I'm not going to. When responder makes a negative double, about the opener and what you do. So now you've bid, right? You've bid, they've overcalled, and your partner has done a negative double. We'll assume this guy passes. If this guy bids, you are no longer required to bid. And if you are no longer, if you pass, like after he bids something, that just says, I have nothing to say. All right? It doesn't mean he has to stop bidding if he's got points. It just says, if this guy bids, let's say, he raises the overcall, right? If I have nothing to say, I can pass. That shows a minimum hand with nothing to say. Okay? If you've got 10 or 11 points, it doesn't mean you should still be bidding or doing something as well. Okay? It just means that your partner has nothing to say. If they have something to say, if they have a fit with your major, they will bid it. And they will bid it depending on how many points they have in their hand. So for example, let's just think about, let's just go, if it was 1 club, 1 spade, say, okay? If you bid 2 spades, you show a minimum hand, right? It's still open.
You just wrote 2 clubs.
Oh, shoot, thank you. That was just a tap. Okay, it shows 4 spades, I have a fit with you, but it shows a minimum hand, so 13, 12, 13, 14 points. If I buy 3 spades, it shows a medium hand, that old 16 to 18 hand, okay? And if I bid 4 spades, it shows a maximum hand, right? I got the 19. Okay? Okay? Now let's just change it, and let's put 1 heart here.
Double.
And we make this a double. My bids would be the same if I have spade support. I know you have 4 spades, 2 spades, shows 4 spades, and a minimum. Yes, dear?
Would it be 1 spade show?
Oh, shoot, yes, it would, I'm sorry. No, you're right.
Down a level.
You're right. Well, this would still be 4. Okay. Okay. All right.
Oh, you would just jump over 3 spades?
Oh, I'm done. If I've got 19 points and he opened his mouth, I'm going to game. I'm not gonna.
Toss around.
Oh, gosh, no. Because who's the only one that knows we belong in game?
You.
Me. I gotta bid it. There is no 3 spade here. Okay? All right? Does that make sense? Okay? So your responding would be the same as if you, because he did bid a spade, he just did it with a negative double. You could do the same thing now. If he bids 1 spade, you would make the same bids, but you would only need 3 card support because you know, because of the negative double, that he's got 5.
Fine.
No, because he bid over the heart.
Yes. Here, he definitely has 5 or more spades. So we only need 3 pieces to support him. Okay? All right. Okay. And again, he could bid something else. If he doesn't have spades, he might bid clubs. Diamonds. I'm sorry, diamonds. Which he would do. And again, if he bids diamonds, let's say he bids, I'm gonna take this away. Okay. He doesn't have spades with you. So he bids 2 diamonds. I want to, yeah,
That's after the double or a spade?
after the double. Thank you, dear. Okay, which means, okay, you're telling me you have spades and probably diamonds. I don't have spades, but I do have diamonds. Okay, now I do want to point out, for some of you who are thinking, but Debbie, isn't that a reverse? Nobody was thinking that, right? Okay, it is not. And the reason it is not is because you're talking to your partner and he is essentially bid diamonds. Okay? So even though you're bidding a higher suit afterwards, it's not you're doing it on your own, you're doing it because he told you he has diamonds and you don't like his spades. Okay? That's something very important to remember.
Because you've only promised 4 spades.
Right. And I know he's only got 4 spades because if he had 5, he would bid 1 spade. So I know for sure that he has no more than 4 spades, 100%. Because if he had 5, he would bid 1 spade. Okay? The beauty of the overcall. Okay?
So how many diamonds do you need to say diamond?
Well, I'd only need 4.
Only 4, okay.
Okay? And just think about it. How many clubs do I have if I have 4 diamonds?
5.
Very good. I have 5, right? Because if I had 4 diamonds and 4 clubs, I don't open a club, I open a diamond. So that way this guy now knows I do not have 4 spades. I have 4 diamonds, hence I have 5 clubs. See how all of that works in? Right? Very
But can
good.
you just go back over that just a teeny slower? I know Sharon got it, but it's a reminder for the rest of us.
Well, this is back to basic bidding.
Right.
Remember, if you're gonna open a minor, because you don't have a major and you have an opening hand, it's a choice between a club and a diamond.
Correct.
If you're 4-4,
You
you open
don't.
a diamond. If you're 5-4, you open whatever one you got 5 in, and if you're 3-3, you open a club. So if you have 4 diamonds, and you did not open a diamond, you opened a club, you got 5 clubs. Okay. Let's see here. Okay. And it gives you some more examples here. What?
I'm just telling her, be sure you process all that information in the 20 seconds you have to bid.
Well, you know, but the more you get used to this, and that's why this bid is so flexible, it's gonna have some growing pains, and you're gonna be, what did I promise, okay? But once you do, I mean, this is a bid that's used by everybody, because it's just so important, because these days, all your auctions are they're just competitive. Everybody's getting in there. And it gives you some examples. So again, here at the bottom of 377, 1 club, they've overcalled a spade, your partner did a negative double, so you would bid 2 hearts. Again, this is not a reverse, this is supporting your partner's suit. Okay, you've got a minimum hand and you have 4 hearts, so you would support your partner's suit. All right, if you take a look at the next one, you'd bid 3 hearts, which means, I think you could have jumped to 2, but that's okay. No, you couldn't. You had to jump to 3 because it was a spade. So you jumped to 3 hearts, all right, showing that medium hand, that 16 to 18 hand. And if you look at the next one, 4 hearts, okay? Now, if you bid 4 hearts, that is not a weak bid. That is not a weak bid, that's a strong bid. If this guy over here has a lot more points, continue on, go to slam, okay? But he's saying that with you having the 8 points that you're promising, I have enough for game. Okay, all right? Okay, and it gives you some examples when you don't have a fit. So the next one, you're gonna rebid your club suit, the same way you would be if they had just bid a heart, right? You would just bid 2 clubs. I've got 6 clubs and a minimum hand. On the next one, I don't like either of your suits, but my strength is in the opponent's suit. So I can come back and bid 1 no trump. I don't have to worry about the fact that I've only got 2 hearts. You've got at least 4, right? So I'm just saying, I don't like either of your suits, but I can stop the opponents, and I will bid 1 no trump. Okay. And then the next one, this is the time where it gets a little messy at the bottom of page 378. That last one, you have to make a choice. So the bidding has gone one club, one spade double, and you have to come up with a bid. You might have 4 diamonds, but you don't necessarily promise 4 diamonds. But I do know for a fact that you've got 4 hearts.
And those are strong hearts.
They are. So even though we don't have a golden fit, as far as we know, we have to bid something. We can't bid no trump, and we can't pass. So we would have to bid 2 hearts. Again, the negative double is a very useful tool, but occasionally you're forced to make a decision because it is a forcing bid and you have to come up with something. Okay?
Question?
Yes.
Can I go back to the rebid 3 hearts?
Mm-hmm.
Don't you know that you belong in game? That when you respond 3 hearts, you have enough points to go to 4, don't you?
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I get, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. I can come up with a 16 point for the length. Yeah, 16 and
But
8.
you're gonna be the dummy, right?
No,
No,
you're gonna be the declarer. So you don't get dummy points. You're the declarer. Because your partner did a negative double, you're the one bidding the hearts.
Okay, my bad.
Okay? Yeah, okay. And also, one thing to think about, they've overcalled a spade. You might wanna devalue that king of spades a little bit.
Yeah, you're going right into it.
Might not be as worth as much as you think. So that's part of thinking about it. Now, if your partner has the ace, Pete's is, really good, but chances are, the ace is right behind you.
And he's not gonna lead the ace because he doesn't have the king.
That's right,
And
and
he's
he
not
knows
leading
better.
under an ace because it's a super.
Right? You don't leave the ace without the king for just that reason. Okay. Where am I? Okay. So it gives you some more examples here on page 379. So you've opened a diamond, they've overcalled. Now this time they've overcalled 2 hearts. They did a preempt. Okay, so that's a weak 2. So your partner's doubling. So we know that he's got a few more points. He's got at least 8 points. But we would still bid 2 spades because we have a golden fit. We know he's got 4 spades. Because the emphasis is always on the major. Don't be worried about it. He has 4 spades. Trust your partner. And partner, bid so that you can be trusted. Okay? The fact that your spades are not pretty, I don't care. You still have 8. 8 is 8. So you would bid 2 spades. Okay? If you take a look at the next one, well, you don't have spades. Your partner may or may not have some clubs over there, but we have the ability to stop the heart suit, the opponent's suit, so we would bid 2 no trump. Remember, our partner's promising 8 points over there, okay? And take a look at the next one. Let's see what they say in here. Okay, so this time, we don't know what to do, right? Because we have 4, 8, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 points. And our partner's got 8, so we belong in game, but we don't know where, correct? Correct, because we don't have a spade fit. We may or may not have a diamond or a club fit. I don't know what we should do. I really don't know, but I know we belong in game.
Cupid.
And that's what the Cupid's saying. It's a partner, I don't know. Help me out, all right? I know we have something, I just don't know what it is. And it's quite possible that they have a stopper in the hearts and they can bid the no trump, right? Otherwise, they'll take you back to something else. If they bid spades, maybe they have 5 of them, okay? And just not enough points to bid them. So again, it's about communicating what's in your hand to your partner in a competitive auction. And that's really what you want to do. You don't want the opponents to be able to get in your way and mess you up. They will, and sometimes you can't help it, but this is some ways to help navigate you through that, okay? The next one, they say, consider passing. I don't really think so, because, depending on the vulnerability, but again, your hearts are in front of his hearts. Now, he's only got the king, so you're gonna get 3 heart tricks. You should get maybe a couple of diamonds, but we don't know, and you should definitely get a club. So it's possible, but again, if your partner's got that many points, you might want to be in 3-0 instead. So depending on the point count and the vulnerability, you have to make a decision on what to do. I can't imagine too many times that you would pass that double.
So would you bid 2 no trump then? Or no, you would cube it, or?
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Oh, I bid 3 no trump if I was gonna bid. I would bid 3 no trump.
Oh, you would be three now.
Because I know we've got enough points for game.
Okay.
Okay, I would bid 2 no trump if I had, less points. But he's gotta have 8, he's forcing me to bid, so we've got game. Okay, so again, depending on the vulnerability, because you gotta remember it's the 1, 3, 5, 2, 5, 8. How many points you get if the opponents are doubled? If you're down 1, this is non-vulnerable. This is vulnerable. 100, 300, 500, and 200, 500, 800. So you have to do the math in your head, which sometimes is hard. But where you're going to get the better score. If they're vulnerable and you're not, then the most you're going to get for 3 no trump is like 400 to 460 or whatever, right? And if they're vulnerable and you only set them 2, that's 500. That's more than your game. Okay, so that's what you have to think about. That's when the vulnerability comes into play. But again, this I'm going to tell you, I don't think I've ever seen it. So, but again.
Okay, I think I'm missing something. So in that example with the 9-3, you've got 9-3 spades.
Yeah.
And you said maybe go to 3 no trump.
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't you be a little worried about spades?
Well, my partner's got him.
It's got 4, but could
What
have
suit's
any.
probably going to be led?
Hearts.
Okay.
I mean, if you're always afraid of everything,
Yeah.
you'll never get anywhere. So, again, it's not the thing, but again, he's promising the other suit, so hopefully he has something. If not, you'll go down and you go into the next hand. It's still worth trying.
On the last hand, you've got 5 strong, but yeah, you have pretty good strong diamonds, and your partner's open the diamond.
No, we've opened a diamond. They did the negative double over the 2 hearts.
Yeah, you open the diamond.
But your partner,
That's your, yeah. That's okay.
I just do.
That's okay. Boy, I'm popular today. Okay, it's all spam. My car warranty. Okay. Okay, so again, openers rebid when there is further competition, and I touched on this a little earlier. You've opened a diamond, they've overcalled a heart, your partner has done the negative double, and the other opponent has come in with a 2-heart bid. You do not have to bid anymore. Doesn't mean you can't, but you no longer have to because the double's gone. So nobody's doubled anything. So when you pass, it just says, I have nothing to say. So if you take a look at this hand here, all right, I don't have spades. I'm not going to rebid my diamonds at the 3 level. That's kind of silly. I don't have enough points for that, right? And I only have 5 of them. I have absolutely nothing to say, so I will pass. All right? Now, it goes around, and assuming that the next guy passes, back to your partner. He can certainly do something if he wants to, if he's got some points. Just because you pass doesn't mean he has to. And that's something that people forget. Well, my partner passed, so, okay? But the thing is, they still had an opening hand. They had an opening hand when they had, and it's still there. It didn't go anywhere. It just means they have nothing to say. So if you've got 10 or 11 points over here, maybe you should say something, okay? Or even a double for penalty, or whatever you want to do, okay? It's just something to think about, okay? And again, here on the next one, okay, here on the next one, so the bidding had gone 1 diamond by me. I hate it when they switch pages because you can't see the bidding anymore. So it had gone 1 diamond, 1 heart, double, 2 hearts, okay? And if you look at the top of page 380, you would bid 2 spades. You have a fit. It doesn't mean you suddenly developed any more points, but you certainly want to compete. Remember, your partner has some points over there, all right? So you would bid 2 spades, all right? Okay, so again, with nothing extra, you can pass, and it just gives you a little bit more example of what's in your mind when your partner has done a negative double, okay? Now here, it gives you some examples here. So the bidding goes 1 diamond, I'm at the bottom of page 380 now, 1 diamond, they've overcalled a spade, your partner has doubled, and the next guy passes. Well, we would bid, why does it say to bid? Oh, then it's, oh, we're east, sorry, didn't catch it. Our partner has come up with 2 clubs, all right? So we did the negative double, our partner bids 2 clubs, what would you do with that hand? You're really disappointed that they didn't have a heart fit, but what are you gonna say? You're gonna pass, right? You have nothing else to say. In the next one, disappointed once again, our partner is very disappointed. He did not bid the hearts, okay? He bid the clubs, but now we can go back and support the diamonds, right? We know he's got at least 4 diamonds because he's got clubs. He's got 4 clubs. If he had 4 clubs, he's got 4 diamonds. Okay? All right? Don't ever forget to put all that math together. You know, well, if he did this, what does he have? Put together a picture of your partner's hand. It will really help you figuring out where you have a fit, where you don't. We can rebid 2 no trump. Okay? Our partner didn't have hearts. But now we have the ability and the points. Remember, how many points as a responder do you need to bid 2 no trump? Does anybody remember?
8 to 10.
To bid 2 no trump
8 to 10.
would be 10. 10 or 11. Okay? 10 or 11. Good 10 to a very bad 12, which is 11. Okay? Again, so we would be able to say, well, we don't have a heart fit, but we have some strength in spades. And we have enough points to invite, so we would bid 2 no trump. All right? These are the options when your partner has disappointed you with his bid. Okay? Take a look at the next one. Okay? Now remember, this time it was what was the bidding? It was 1 diamond, 1 spade, 2 clubs. They keep changing. You'd think they could at least keep it. 1 spade, 2 clubs. Okay? So here, we could now bid our 2 hearts, all right? That shows 5 or more hearts, but it also denies the 10 points. So our partner now knows that we don't have 10 points, but that we do have 5 hearts. All right, and can freely pass this. That is not a forcing bid, because we have limited our hand when we did the negative double before bidding the hearts. Does that make sense? I know it seems confusing, because I can see the faces, but it really, really is very useful as you work it through and practice it. Don't be afraid to practice it. You might not win the game today, but practice it, because you will win games in the future if you get better. You really will. All right? If you bid, okay, and then here is like a Q bid, where they're saying, we have to be somewhere. So I'm going to make a forcing bid. I'm going to Q bid the opponent's spade, saying, okay, we belong someplace good.
Wait, where were we?
I'm on the one with the, oh, yeah.
You were 3.
Oh, I missed 3 diamonds. Okay, when he comes back and bids clubs, you take him back to his diamonds. Okay, does everybody see that? That's a suit preference.
Oh, okay, got it.
Because again, we know he's got 4 diamonds, because if he had 4 clubs, he has to have 4 diamonds, because otherwise he wouldn't have opened a diamond, right? I mean, he could have 5, we don't know, but we know we have a diamond bid. And on the next one, because we have an open, yes, dear?
Well, the important thing there, though, is they jumped to show invitational support.
Thank you, yes, because we have too many points to just bid 2, right? So, did everybody see that? Because Steve got it and I missed it, because I wasn't counting the points. You have enough points, you want to jump, you want to show points, you want to invite. So a 2 diamond bid would just simply be a suit preference, showing a minimum hand, but you want to show an invitational hand. So bid 3 diamonds, telling your partner, I've got some points here as well. Hopefully he can bid 3 no or something, okay? But the thing is, if you don't tell him about your points, it's going to make it harder for him to know what to do. If the responder doesn't give an accurate description of their points, it's very hard for the opener to bid correctly. Yes, dear?
So, not only in this case, but in every case, just keep that in mind. Every bid you make shows your partner 2 things, shape and points. So think about that, right? Not just here with negative double and not in this class, but in every bid in bridge that you make is going to show your partner 2 things. It's going to give them some information about your shape, and it's going to give them information about your points. So look at your bid, and if you're not telling them both of those things accurately, that's a bad bid. Okay? You need to tell them both things.
And to be fair, Sometimes it just shows a minimum, like one diamond, if you bid one spade and you have 20 points, you haven't told them that, but you will get a second bid. And that's when you'll describe your hand a little more, okay? But again, you're telling something to your partner every time you bid, okay? Two spades here is, again, it's a Q bid. It's just saying, partner, we belong somewhere. I don't know where, you figure it out, okay? All right, it's quite possible that he can bid the no trump, all right? You can't, you don't have a stopper. If you bid no trump, the lead's gonna come right through your partner into the person who bid the spades. That's not a good sign. So if anybody's gonna bid no trump, it should be your partner. And you can get that way by Q-pitting, just saying, I have an opening hand here, I've got a lot of points, I don't wanna just jump to 5 clubs or something, see what he thinks and make him bid something. And that'll give you a little more description to figure out what to do with your hand. Does that make sense? That Q bid, man, it's a good bid. You'd be surprised. People don't use it enough. Okay, and again, they're just giving you some more actions when the opponents compete further. So 1 club, 1 heart is an overcall. You've doubled, they bid 2 hearts, pass, pass. So here's now another example here. So what do you have to say? You have nothing. Your partner didn't choose to bid again. So he has nothing to say. You don't really have anything to say. So just let them pay in 2 hearts. That's okay. Does that make sense?
Others just can't compete.
Yeah, and that's okay. Because the worst thing you can do is compete and get a bad score because they double you because you just wouldn't stop bidding, right? Okay, take a look at the next one, all right? Again, there's not always a perfect bid, but you've got points. Take a look at the top of page 382. You have points. Remember, your partner opened the bidding, and you've got 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 points. 13 and 9, that's still over half the deck, right? We don't want to let them play it in 2 hearts. So what we would do is we would compete. Now, what if our partner only had 3 clubs? Well, if they only had 3 clubs, they probably would have had better something to say. They most likely have 4, but even if they only have 3, then you're going to play in a 7-card fit and hope your partner took the play of the hand class, right? But again, it's about not letting them get it too cheap and competing because you're putting the points together. Yes.
And on that score, even if you went down 1 club, that's better for you than letting them make 2 hearts.
Depending on,
Depending on who's vulnerable or whatever.
Yeah, you gotta take into vulnerability and the fact that you're only gonna go down 1. But yeah, but the thing is, I mean, it's not always exact, but the idea is that if you've got 2 hands that have over half the deck, you don't wanna sell out too cheaply. You know? Because, and sometimes it'll be better to let them play it in 2 hearts, but generally speaking, it won't be. Okay? There's always the hand where you did the wrong thing. Now, we have to make a decision, and we don't always make the right ones, but the only thing we can do is try. And if we have points on both hands, we want to compete. Okay? On the next one, it's saying to double. I'm just trying to remember what the bidding was now. 1 club, 1 heart. Oh, okay. That's a, oh, I write it right here. That's it. Has everybody heard, who is it, Larry Cohen, the do something intelligent partner doubled? That's what DSI doubles. It's, partner, I have some points here, we have the points, I'm doubling, you figure it out. It's a do something intelligent partner bid. It's just like, so that he can leave it in, he can bid something, but it's showing points, and we just don't want to let him have it for 3 hearts, or 2 hearts undoubled. Because, you know, I've got, what do I have? I have 11 high card points, and you've opened the bidding. We have almost a game. We're going to let them play in 2 hearts, not doubled? Now, occasionally they will make 2 hearts doubled. That's okay. Still better to double them.
Doesn't that double them in the game though?
It's okay. You can't be worried about that. Okay? And I don't think, let's see, 2 hearts doubled, making, yes, it does give them game. It does give them game. But what I'm saying is that more often than not, and when I say more often, I mean a lot more often, they can't make game. Remember, they're only in 2, and you've got 13-ish and 11. That's 24. Okay, that means they only have 16 points between them. So, and again, sometimes there's some kind of big distributional thing, but you should get in the habit of doubling people when they get too high. because it's the way you make good points, okay? Occasionally, it will be bad for you. Can't do anything about that, but if you're always worried about doubling people, they're always gonna outbid you, because they know you won't double.
So the last one is sort of a takeout, actually.
It's a do something intelligent. So you can bid something, you can leave it in for penalty, but what it's showing, it's called a balance of power. We have most of the power, we don't wanna let them play it in two hearts, not double. Okay? All right. I think, so this is just a summary of everything we've talked about a little bit. So you can go over the summary of that. I just want to go over one set of things before we start to play. How am I doing? 11. I talk too much, I'm sorry. I want to go to page 390 for the exercises, because there's a few in here that, there's a typo in the first one, so that'll help. But there's a few that I want to just go over. And it's basically just going through some examples of the uses of the negative double. And if you take a look at the first one, it's got West opens a spade, North overcalls 2 diamonds, and you do a takeout double. Does everybody see that? Look at that hand. How many people want to bid the 2 hearts? Oh, come on, y'all. Most of you do. You want it because you just, that's a pretty suit. Right? But again, your partner's not going to stop bidding. And no matter how you look at it, you still only have 3, 6, 7 high card points. You can get a couple of length points there, but that's it. And he's not going to stop bidding. All right?
And it's 3 clubs he would have to bid, right? Not 2?
Yes, that's why I said it's right here. Insufficient. Insufficient. If he does bid 2 clubs and he can get away with it, that's good. But he's going to bid 3 clubs. But now you can come back and bid 3 hearts. He now knows you have a heart suit, but he knows also that you don't have the 10 points. And that's a very important thing. Okay? And that is not a forcing bid by any way, shape, or form. Okay? If you take a look at the next one, your partner has opened a spade, South bids 3 clubs, you double pass. What does East bid?
And we're East.
We're East, yeah, we're the spade. All right, so the bidding went a spade by us. These guys down here bid 3 clubs and your partner's doubled. All right? Now, it says that that's a penalty double, because this book is only playing negative doubles through 2 spades, which means 3 clubs is higher. I would disagree. I would not take that as a penalty double, because my agreement with my partner is we play it higher. So I would still take that as a negative double. Okay?
So that would be the diamonds and
Yeah,
the
so then I'm
hearts.
going to come back and bid diamonds. Okay, because I have a diamond fit. Okay? All right. I do know that my partner doesn't have 3 spades. Do we all agree?
Yeah.
100%. Because if he had 3 spades, he's showing me support, either by Q bidding or bidding spades support. We wouldn't be doing a negative double. All right? So over that, we could bid the 3 diamonds.
Does it also not show 5 hearts?
Well, it could show 5 hearts if he didn't have enough points to bid them. But again, I'm going to assume he's only got 4 hearts because the negative double says 4. Okay? There are times when they will have, if that's the case, he'll bid 3 hearts over my 3 diamonds. Okay? All right? Take a look at the next one. We've opened a spade. South has overcalled 2 clubs, and our partner has passed. What do we do? So think about it. We opened this hand, we opened a spade. South bid 2 clubs, and it was pass to me. What do? Do you think anything?
2 hearts.
Double.
2 hearts is a possibility, or double is a good bid, because double, remember, you're going to be dummy. If you do a takeout double here, you will be dummy. Beauty of the takeout double, you're going to be dummy, right? And we get the singleton points, the shortage points, okay?
So that would be a takeout? Takeout double?
Yeah.
And then West has to come back and bid hearts, maybe?
Right, or well, hearts, or he might support my spades. Remember, he could have spades, but just no points to bid. Right? He could come back, or he might just support me with 2 spades because that's the best bid he can come up with. But again, he's going to do something. Okay? If he has 4 hearts, he'll bid hearts. If he has some diamonds, he'll bid diamonds. Okay? All right? Remember, just because he doesn't bid doesn't mean he doesn't have spades. It means he doesn't have spades, or he doesn't have enough points to bid, or something. Okay? Take a look at the next one. Number 4, West opens a spade, North overcalls 2 clubs. Now this time you're East, what do you do?
You got a lot of points.
3 clubs,
13 points.
Well, that's what it says. I wouldn't do that myself.
You wouldn't do the 3?
I would still do a negative double. I want to look for those hearts.
Why? You know you have a fit in spades.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm looking at the next one. No, you're right. You have a fit. You would cube it. You're right. You would cube it. I'm sorry. Correct. Thank you, Sharon, for catching that. Yes, you would cube it because you have a spade fit. You have a spade fit and you have points. So 3 clubs. I'm sorry, I missed that. They keep changing suits on me. I wish they'd just keep the same bidding, but they don't. And they change the bidding, they change the person. East opens 1 diamond. I guess that's us. Yes, we're East. We opened a diamond. South bids 2 clubs. And our partner has doubled. Ooh. What do we bid?
2 hearts.
2 hard to bid up this chain.
We would bid 2 hearts. It says to bid 3 clubs here. I wouldn't. Well, 3 clubs is a forcing bid. Let's see, how many points we have? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Oh, we got a big hand. Okay. Yeah. Well, I'm going to assume that my partner has 4 of each. I mean, they're saying a 3 club bid is it's forcing bid. That's certainly an option. I don't think I would have thought of that. 3 clubs. Well, 3 clubs is a forcing bid. What it shows is we have enough points for game. I just don't know which game. And then they could bid their 4-card major in case they did it with 4-3. But I've never really seen that. But I guess that makes a lot of sense. Okay, rather than just jumping to 4 hearts or 4 spades, it gets your partner a little more involved in it because again, we know he's got some points. He's got at least 8 points. He might have more, but again, South's bid is not a preempt, so he's a when he bids 2 clubs, he should have close to an opening hand there, at least 10 high card points, right? So chances of our slam, although remember my no trump example, but chances of a slam are less. All right. So a 3 club bid is a good bid there, I guess. I just never would have thought of it, but it is a good bid. Okay. The next one, we've opened a diamond. They've overcalled, oh, okay, now this is a really bizarre one, but okay, they've opened a diamond. South bid 2 clubs, this will teach them. Our partner has done a negative double. Okay, now here's a really good reason to pass. You've got some really nice clubs. You've got shortage. You don't have any support for either of your partner's suit. This doesn't come up very often. This is pretty unrealistic. But the thing is, the reason it's here is to have you think about it.
You wouldn't bid no trump?
No. Because again, our partner's only promised 8 points. And chances of us making a game is probably not as good as us of me passing. We're gonna get lunch. I'm clubs. He's got the ace jack of clubs, but I'm gonna get, a
You're
few
behind
clubs.
him, right?
Huh?
We're in front of him.
I'm in front of him, yeah.
You're in front of him.
So I would prefer to be behind him, but I am in front of him. But I'm still gonna get some club tricks. Plus, our partner has shown, so what am I gonna do? I'm gonna probably lead my singleton heart, right? So at some point, I think my partner's probably gonna get in with a heart and be able to give me some roughs, and there's some good stuff going on there. And he'll lead my diamonds to me, and then he'll signal whether he has the ace of spades, and we're gonna get a bunch of tricks. Okay, that's all the stuff, okay? Again, this doesn't come up that often, but it's good for you to think about it. Because again, bridge, how often have I said, bridge is not about the contract, it's about getting the most points. And how you can get the most points on your side, whether it's penalizing them or bidding higher or bidding a little bit high so that they can't make your contract but not enough to get you in trouble, those type of things. It's about getting more points on your side or less points on their side. That's what bridge is about, in a nutshell, and having a great time. Okay, take a look at the next one. All right, oh, this is good. All right, number 7, this is a really good example. People don't know this. In fact, I had to go out and print it off on the internet because I had a partner once who wouldn't believe me. One spade, our partner has bid one spade. They have overcalled one no trump. A double here is not a negative double. A double over a no trump overcall is not a negative double, okay? Only one suit has been bid. For a negative double, 2 suits have to have been bid, and you're showing the other 2. This is a penalty double. And what it says is, you've opened the bidding, I know you've got 13 points, we know this guy's got 15 to 18. I also have points. No way is this guy making one no. And that's what it says. And because you're putting your points together with your partners, you know that the guy in dummy's got bupkis. Okay? Mm-hmm. So that is 100% a penalty double. Now, that doesn't mean your partner has to leave it in. If he's got some wildly distributional thing, he'll bid again. But it's meant as a penalty double, okay? So I want everybody to remember that. Okay. Now, okay.
So then you pass? Oh, you pass, okay.
Well, depends. Yeah, we would pass because we, you know, if our partner has done a negative, it's not a negative, done a penalty double. We've got a nice hand. I'm okay defending against one no trump double. That's okay by me. Just think of how much he's going to get to dummy to do a finesse. He's going to be in his hand the whole time. Okay? Now, take a look at the next one. This is another example. This time, East bids 2 diamonds. South bids 2 spades. West doubles. So let's just take a look at this. Okay, so this guy bids 2 diamonds. Who is East? East is the 2 diamond guy?
Yeah, 2 diamonds.
I gotta put him in the right spot. All right, I also have to have him heavy. Okay?
And North has got a pass.
Yeah, good pass. Okay? What does this 2 spades, what does this double mean? Does anybody have any ideas?
Heart unbid suits?
Books are
No.
probably.
Remember, this is a week 2.
Okay.
This is a penalty double. Okay? Because if you've opened 2 diamonds, first of all, we know you should not have 4 hearts, correct? Because you don't open a week 2 diamonds when you got 4 of a major. Does everybody remember that? Yeah. Well, that's why I keep refreshing, right? But part of opening a week 2 is you don't open it with an outside 4-card major because you could miss a better place for you and your partner, okay? So we know he doesn't have 4 hearts because he's taken the classes. So this has to be for kind of, and again, when you've opened a week 2 bid, you've really said, I have 1 suit, all right?
That's it.
Yeah. Sometimes you might have 4 clubs, but generally speaking, you got 6 diamonds and that's what you got. And you got not a lot of points, because otherwise you wouldn't have opened a week 2. So this guy shouldn't be asking you to bid again, okay? I actually saw this happen, and you know, the partner passed because this guy meant it as a negative double, and she's like, well, what did you think I had? You know, I mean, it's like, I don't have anything. So this is a penalty double. Okay, yes, dear?
Right. And this is a good example, but we all know that nobody in this class would open that hand 2 diamonds.
Why? There's,
You have a rule of 20.
there you go.
That's very true. That would be a 1 diamond hand.
1 diamond open.
1 diamond hand. Very good catch, dear. Okay. All right, let's get the hands now. I'm sorry I talked so long. We can go a little bit longer. So let's just see. So, if
16.
okay.
Paramount.
Oh, I have to move. No,
Paramount.
4,
Paramount.
4.